Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Sunday morning. With us today is Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, and, she is a law and order congressperson, believes in the law, and believes that if we have migrant criminals, maybe the migrant criminals should be evicted versus, Nicole Malliotakis, get it off your chest on a Sunday morning. How do you really feel?
Well, good morning. Good morning, John. It's great to be with you as always. You know, this week was National Police Week. We had a bunch of NYPD officers and other law enforcement at the Capitol to honor the fallen. Remember, these are men and women that put their life on the line, and many have given their life. As a matter of fact, 111 names were added to the memorial here in Washington. 14 of those, by the way, are people who died with 9/11 related illnesses 25 years later. And so, I'm always looking for ways on how we can make their life easier. And this week I've also introduced legislation that would prohibit people from interfering with police activity, right? We see these protesters, agitators getting in the way of police officers trying to make an arrest. And so my legislation would prohibit people from coming within 25 feet of officers trying to do their job. And that's going to keep officers safe and the public safe as well. But lastly, you brought up a strong point, John, about the need for New York to allow law enforcement to cooperate with federal authorities. People are dying in New York. We had a 85-year-old veteran thrown in front of a track, killed by an illegal immigrant. We had another illegal immigrant killed, 4 individuals with arson. And yet the laws in New York, many times, by the way, these people are on the street because we've had that ridiculous bail law that allows these people to just be released back onto the street, and because the sanctuary policies do not turn them over. And I think it's time, John, that we look at holding local elected officials and judges accountable if they are participating in harboring these illegal immigrants. You hear about these stories all the time where judges are letting criminals go out the back door because ICE is waiting in the front for them because they are bad people that need to be removed from the country. So those judges need to be held accountable, and I think that they can be charged federally for helping these illegal immigrants evade federal laws.
You know what really makes me upset is when judges allow criminals to go to leave their courtroom, and they go out the next day and they commit a crime. I mean, at what point does the judge or say enough is enough? This guy committed 150 crimes. Why put him back in the streets of New York? There's a certain point. There's a certain point where they're not going to cure themselves.
That's right. I mean, we just saw multiple people killed by people that had committed previous crimes and yet were still on our street for some reason. And some of that is Albany's ridiculous policy that does not allow them to hold people with bail. And some of it is the judge, that even when the judge does have discretion, few instances, by the way, where judges actually have discretion. And in those cases, you still see judges allowing these individuals back onto the streets. And that is, judicial races. A lot of these people are appointed by the mayor and the governor here in New York, but there are judicial races, and people have to pay attention to those races because oftentimes if they're in civil court, they end up in criminal court, and these are the people who are doing these things. And so you're right, John, but when it relates specifically to immigration, I think the federal government, the Department of Justice, needs to do more to hold these judges accountable because they are violating immigration law themselves, federal law themselves, when they are helping people evade federal law enforcement so they can remain in the country illegally. And Laken Riley, her murderer, was released in New York City. after committing another crime. And he went on a bus, went to Georgia, killed Lake and Riley. That was a 100% preventable crime, as are so many others that we've discussed on your show over the last few months, John. It is shameful. It really is. And it's time that these politicians and judges put citizens ahead of illegal immigrant foreign criminals who are committing and perpetrating these crimes, put American citizens first or be held accountable by the federal government.
Well, Congresswoman Malliotakis, I mean, somebody has to be held responsible. Maybe even if the politicians that appoint federal judges judges that do not do their job and create crimes. And look, I don't know what the federal government can do. Isn't it against the law? There's no such thing as sanctuary cities.
Well, I mean, the sanctuary cities are violating federal law. I mean, and that's the whole thing. At what point do we go from trying to be punitive towards city and states for their actions, and then go after the actual elected officials and judges who are harboring? They are accomplices in a sense, right? They're accomplices to these crimes when they are protecting these individuals and helping them evade federal law. So I think that has to be a larger discussion by the federal government and the Department of Justice, and of course the Judiciary Committee in Congress, to see what we can and cannot do. But certainly, I believe that these judges simply need to be removed from the bench and maybe even charged for their part in harboring criminals and helping them evade federal law.
Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, thank you so much for just on a Sunday morning getting it off both our chests, and let's hope we can do something about it sooner than later. God bless you and God bless America.
Well, now I have to go to church and pray for our city, John.
Please do.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.